Welcome to Brilliantly British. My name is Lawrence and today I'm going to show you how to make a chestnut chicken roulade. So, as I show you how, please sit back, relax with a cup of tea in hand, putting those feet of yours up to, and enjoy this episode. And don't forget to subscribe. The reason none of you will have heard of a chestnut chicken roulade is because this is another recipe among others that we've developed and are now sharing with you. This deliciously elegant dish will add class and sophistication to your dining table, as well as wow your guests should you give this recipe a try. Step by step, we'll walk you through the dish's preparation before crowning things off with a session of tasting at the end. So now, with the introductions made and your interest peaking, please allow me to introduce the ingredients to you. For today's Brilliantly British chestnut chicken roulade, you will need a chicken, some diced onion, diced carrots, diced celery, some garlic, some cooked chestnuts, some white wine, some smoked streaky bacon, some white pepper, some tarragon, fresh or dry, some rosemary, some thyme, some cornflour, some butter, and a little pinch or two of salt to avoid the occurrence of bland food. And that, my friends, is all, yes, all you will need for today's Brilliantly British chestnut chicken roulade. But before you get started, before you do anything at all, please switch on your kettle, brew yourself a nice cup of hot tea so that you can sip on that whilst you cook. To begin, with a razor sharp knife, after having placed your chicken breast side down, slice through the skin, then dislocate both hip joints, slicing through the joints thereafter before working your way along the bird, separating the flesh from the inner carcass until all meat on one half has been removed, before repeating on the other side, which can be made easier by first partly removing the inner carcass, which should be set to one side momentarily. But with some patience and persistence, after having removed the wishbones, follow on by removing the rest of the inner carcass, leaving you with the legs to attend to. To skin the legs, after having begun with your knife, with some force pull the legs free, before taking a moment to remove both breast fillets with the wings still attached. Having set the bones and skin to one side, optionally take the time to remove any meat from the wings, otherwise proceed by simply detaching from the breast fillet and placing the chicken bones to one side. Turning your attention back to the legs, which will need the bones extracted, slice along the thigh to expose and gradually free the bone, setting the bone with the others after cutting through the joint, and then continuing by gradually extracting the bone from the lower part of the leg, which should be easier than the previous, as I shall now demonstrate. So also taking the time to remove any cartilage and then repeating for the other leg. At this point, you can smile as you will have filleted a whole chicken, but before taking the time to relax, recall and coarsely mince the chicken skin, as our recipe will require it later. With the bones and skin refrigerated, coarsely dice your meat and refrigerate momentarily also before moving on. For the bones, in a suitably sized pot, turn in cold water, which should be brought to a gentle rolling boil, at which point the contents should be monitored and then skimmed to remove impurities. Moments later, after boiling, pass the contents through a sieve, discarding the bones thereafter, and then setting the white chicken stock to one side ready for later on. Following on, in a pan over a medium heat containing molten butter, with the butter now bubbling, turn in diced carrots, celery and onion with a pinch of salt and a splash of wine before allowing to simmer under a lid until little to no liquid remains, at which point garlic should be added, with finely chopped thyme and rosemary, cooking the contents for a further 5 minutes thereafter and then relocating to a bowl. Turning our attention back to the chicken meat, to mince, turn all into a food processor with some salt and a few tablespoons of your chicken stock before beginning to mince the meat for a few seconds if you prefer the end product to contain a coarse mince or longer for a finer filling, as this decision is entirely yours to make, and I wouldn't judge you either should you add in a splash of wine or two. With the mince made and now in a bowl, seasoned with chopped chestnuts, your cooked vegetables and white pepper, taking the time to homogenize the ingredients and then momentarily setting the bowl to one side. In preparation for rolling, on a sheet of grease-proof paper, lay out strips of bacon with each preceding step overlapping the previous, and then starting at one end, turn out the filling, keeping the filling 2 centimeters or an inch away from the bacon sheet at both ends before carefully beginning to roll and gently compress, taking the time with each roll to fold the ends of the bacon sheets inwards so as to seal the chicken filling in. As you roll, take care to keep all the bacon strips in place, but I assure you, with patience and time, you'll soon begin to see things come together, culminating with the final roll and the tucking in of the last bacon strips. Having wrapped the roulade up in the baking sheet, it was then set upon a sheet of foil and securely rolled, priming the contents within by twisting both ends gradually. To cook the roulade, place in a preheated oven containing a reservoir of hot water as a source of steam, and as the roulade bakes, after having recalled your minced chicken skins, starting in a dry, cold pan, begin to fry the skin over a medium heat, stirring every now and again until golden and crispy, at which point you'll then want to remove the skin before setting to one side momentarily. Following on, in the pan of rendered chicken fat still over a medium heat, pour in wine, your chicken stock, with a pinch of salt, your tarragon, as well as the contents heat gently while you stir constantly. Then, after having allowed the tarragon flavor to diffuse into the contents of your pan, pass the mixture through a sieve, returning to your pan immediately after before preparing and then adding a cornflour slurry. In no time at all, the slurry should thicken the contents of your pan, at which point you need only set the pan to one side as you attend to the roulade. The roulade, once ready, should be rested for 15 minutes before unraveling, which should be done carefully before setting on a platter or a board in my case, and slicing before serving. So now, with a chestnut chicken roulade made and your interest peaking, I think it's high time for tasting, tasting, tasting. Are you ready? Are you steady? 3, 2, 1. Oh wow. Wonderful. Just such an elegant dish. Right, I'm going to try and start with the flavor profile of this dish. Subtle, delicate, beautifully balanced. The sauce, light, refreshing, well-rounded. I'd say you've got, of course, the garlic, the tarragon, the subtle white pepper coming through. The wine as well adds a lovely aroma to the sauce, and of course the background, the base of this sauce, its strong foundation is the high quality white chicken stock. Beautiful, beautiful. And now turning my attention to the actual chicken roulade itself. It's lovely and delicate and flavorsome and moist and juicy. It just melts in the mouth. The texture comes from the carrots, the celery, the onion, the lovely sweet buttery chestnuts, and of course it's been well seasoned with the herbs. And let's not take away from the fact that the bacon, which surrounds every single slice, adds a lovely smoky, meaty flavor to this dish that I feel is needed. And then lastly, as if all of that wasn't enough, you've got the lovely crunch coming from the finely chopped, ground, in this case, chicken skin. It's beautiful. And in case you hadn't noticed, every piece of the chicken was used fully. Nothing went to waste. And look at the result. It's amazing, amazing, astounding. So look, with all of that being said, my dear friends, my dear viewers, please go out, get yourselves the ingredients to make this dish, because as you can see, it will most definitely be worth it. Please, please, please make this dish, please. Thank you all for allowing me to show you how to make a chestnut chicken roulade. Knowing that you loved this episode, don't forget to click on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you don't miss any of our new releases. Tell everyone you know, and I mean everyone, that you know about the brilliantly British food on this channel, and follow us on all of the social media platforms that this channel is on, and I will see you